Laura Trejo here with you, and today I have the privilege to have with me attorney Juanita Bocanegra, and she is now running for 58th District Court Judge. And Juanita, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Juanita, tell us about yourself, your experience, and why you decided to run for judge.
So I grew up both here in Holland, Michigan, and in Texas, down from what we know commonly as the Valley in Texas, specifically the Edinburgh area. We came to West Michigan when I was very young, in 1979 for the first time. I was not even in school back then. I was in preschool as migrant farm workers. When I started kindergarten, my dad decided to stop migrating because he was concerned how all the moving around would affect my schooling, and he thought kindergarten is really the beginning of her education, and he wanted to stay put. Eventually, my uncles, who had been migrating to this area for many, many years, convinced him to give it one more try, and we came back in early elementary. Dad said, we'll try it for a year. If it works out, we'll keep doing this. If her grades go down, we're not gonna come back. I not only did my grades not suffer, they actually improved. In 5th grade, I met Mr. Frank Cry, who I credit for kind of turning my life around. I went from being just an average student to being a straight A student. That started in 5th grade and stayed with me through graduation from high school and then through my college career. I always knew that I wanted to be an attorney. I had no idea really when I was in elementary all the different kinds of different practice areas that I could be involved in or what I wanted to do. But I knew two things that my dad wanted for me and that I wanted for myself. And that is that an attorney gets to work inside when it's cold outside and when it's snowing, and he or she gets to work inside when it's also very hot outside and everybody is sweating out in the fields. So my dad wanted me to have a job where I was protected from the elements, and I wanted to help people. And I knew that attorneys worked in an office where they were protected from the elements and that they, generally speaking, help people. As I got a little bit older, criminal law was something that became very interesting. When I graduated from Grand Valley, I worked at a law firm here in Holland for a little over 10 years, and I specifically worked with an attorney that did a lot of criminal defense work, some family law, workers' compensation, personal injury, that kind of stuff, at a law firm called Hand Persinger PC. I was still working at that law firm when I started law school, and I stayed with them through my graduation from law school. When I was in law school, I was able to secure an internship or a clerkship at Rhodes McKee in Grand Rapids. Fortunately, my boss at Hand Persinger was very supportive, and he encouraged me to take advantage of that so that I would have the perspective of a small law firm in Holland versus a bigger law firm in Grand Rapids. Out of that internship or externship at Rhodes McKee, I was offered a position there as an associate attorney. So I was one of the very few lucky ones who had a job, a career waiting by the time I graduated law school. And that was in 2008. If you remember what was happening in 2008, markets crashed, everybody was struggling. I was blessed to have a job, a very good job at Rhodes McKee. About 2 or 3 years later, an opportunity opened up here at the prosecutor's office. One of the assistant prosecutors was elected to the bench, Judge Kent Engel. And one of the defense attorneys from Hand Persinger, who is one of the best mentors I've had, contacted me and said, there's an opportunity. You've always been kind of a prosecutor type mentality. You should consider it. At the time I had, my 2 daughters were very young. They were in elementary and they were starting to get more involved in sports. I wanted to be able to be closer to them, to be able to be 5 minutes away from them in case of an emergency, or simply to leave, to be able to go watch a soccer game rather than driving in from Grand Rapids. By the time that I considered all the options and the pros and cons, I was hesitant to apply, and by the time I made my decision, there were a little over 300 applicants for the position.
Oh, wow.
So for the first time in my life, I found myself praying every day, wondering if it was even a possibility because I had waited so long and there were so many applicants. And this was in 2010 when the interview process started. God answered those prayers, and I was offered a position here, and I started in March of 2011. I've never looked back. I love what I do here. I met great mentors, great attorneys at Rhodes McKee. I don't regret that a bit. I learned a lot there. I grew as an attorney. I developed a lot of friendships that I still keep to this day, but I love it here. The attorneys I work with, the bench, the defense bar, we work very well together, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's important to look at the individual's background, the individual's history, the individual's experience as a whole, and what he or she may be able to bring to the bench. What I am offering the community and what I feel confident I can bring to the bench is a balanced experience, a love for the community, and integrity. What I mean by balanced experience is I have done everything from starting out as a legal secretary, legal assistant, paralegal, drafting the pleadings that are then filed with the court, to arguing the actual cases in court. I started from the bottom up. So I don't know who else is going to enter this race. I don't know who will ultimately put in for it, but I highly doubt that some of those other individuals will have started out as legal assistants or will be able to say that. So in addition to that, I have practiced on the civil side, civil litigation, family law, business law, and now doing criminal prosecution. So I have the experience of working as a legal assistant or a paralegal, and then working on the civil side and now the criminal side. So I can blend all of that experience and balance it all out. My love for community is no secret. I have worked hard in this community for probably the past 20 to 25 years, very involved in different organizations. Before I even went to law school, I was already involved in the community. I love this community. I feel very supported here. I feel like I owe a lot to this community, and it's my turn not to just give it back, but pay it forward to the people that are coming behind me and the next generations behind me. Like I said, have done this even before this was in the picture. I will continue to do that regardless of what happens in this race. I will continue to be wholly invested in this community. Integrity, I think, is very important. I've always believed in hard work. I do not pretend to be the smartest person in the room, but I do enjoy working hard, and I enjoy finding the answers. And I think that it's always best to have a strong work ethic and to do that with integrity than to be the smartest or to win a case even. I would much rather get a not guilty verdict, which as a prosecutor, that it's not easy to hear those words of not guilty. But if that's the right answer, I would feel much more comfortable with a not guilty than compromising my integrity. If I know that there are issues with a case, I like to share those with the defense attorney, and I like to be open and honest about them. I also believe in treating the individual who, for whatever reason, chooses not to be represented, either because they don't want to hire an attorney, they don't trust an attorney, or because they're not eligible for a court-appointed attorney. I believe in treating that individual the same way that I would treat them if they were represented through an attorney. In other words, I will make the same offer to resolve a case, whether I'm dealing with an attorney with a lot of years of experience, or whether I'm dealing with the average individual who has no idea what is going on. I look at the facts of the case, and what I believe to be the fair resolution is the same offer I'm going to make that individual, not to cause him or her to be disadvantaged because a legal representative or an attorney is not there by their side.
Juanita, how will you ensure equality for people of all backgrounds in your courtroom? How will you work to ensure?
How will I ensure equality for people of all different backgrounds? Obviously, by treating everybody fairly. I don't like it necessarily when people say I don't see skin color, because really, we all see skin color. We all have different skin colors. I don't think the problem is noticing skin color or noticing a different background. The problem is in not letting an unconscious bias or not letting that form an opinion, a preconceived opinion about the person in front of you. So how will I ensure equality is I will make sure that I'm listening to the facts of the case. What happened? Who's in front of me? What is the criminal history of the individual? And consider only what is relevant, not take into consideration any other preconceived notions. One of the things that I plan to bring, or that I'm aspiring to, is to have compassionate accountability for everybody. So we all make mistakes. We're all human. We make mistakes every day. The people that come in front of the judges are no different. They're human. And everybody deserves second chances. However, just because we make a mistake and we deserve a second chance, that doesn't necessarily neglect the consequences of what we did. There's always a consequence for our actions. So I believe in holding people accountable, holding myself accountable, but learning from that and growing from that experience. And I think we need to do that with compassion. I don't think we have a lot of evil people in this community. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people who make a lot of mistakes. Some people are ready to remedy those mistakes and are ready to turn their life around, and I think as a community, we owe it to them and we owe it to ourselves to come alongside them and lift them up and help them towards that. Again, still having a consequence, because that's only appropriate, but doing it in a compassionate way. And then there's other individuals, unfortunately, who are not ready to make that change, who are they just want to continue in their way of life, whatever that may be. And at that point, we have a greater responsibility to the community as a whole to make sure that this is a safe community for all of us. So trying to balance that out is the key, and that's my goal.
Well, thank you, Juanita. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for everything that you're doing for the community, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming out here. My final words to the public are to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to approach me or any of the other candidates that may come out in this race. At the end of the day, we represent the community and we're here to serve the community. So you have the right to be informed. I'm not shy about answering questions, and it's important. So ask them if you have them. You can always contact me. Look me up on Facebook. Look me up on the internet. We do have a webpage. Feel free to just call the office if you need to. I may not speak about that campaign during working business hours, but I'm always happy to reach back out to you after work hours, after 5 p.m. or on the weekends, and address whatever concerns you may have. Thank you.